So
I'm scared.
I know. Me too.
a former Fox host who says Santa Claus is white.
No, he ain't. Fool's North Polian, dude.
What is he?
Wow, North Polian.
He's got to be white. Isn't he German?
No, he's an Eskimo.
Oh yeah, Klaus.
Yeah, Klaus.
That's German, right?
Saint Nick.
Nicholas Klaus.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's German.
Yeah, he's probably white then.
No, he's German.
Nicholas.
There's a good shot he's white.
Saint Nick.
Yeah.
Is it, wait, Claus the last name? Is it Nicholas Claus?
Isn't he an elf?
No, he's not.
What I do know is when I see an Asian Santa, it doesn't look right to me.
Yeah, do you spit on him?
Santas?
Huh?
Asian Santas?
Like in Taiwan or something.
Oh.
They just look like monks, dude. Fat monks with a beard.
Santa Claus is a mascot, right?
Yeah.
Like that's all he is.
Well, the real Santa though. They're talking about the real Santa, not the mascots at the mall.
Not the Vietnamese ones.
Yeah.
Hey, don't be hating on malls. All right. So a former Fox host who said Santa Claus is white calls Colin Kaepernick a racist. Anybody hear about Colin Kaepernick recently?
No, what do you do?
I heard
I
about
saw
what he
him
said.
come out with a documentary or something.
About kneeling?
No, it's about like how he's. I didn't watch the documentary, but I think it's supposed to be like equating NFL to slavery.
The combine.
So actually the documentary is not fully about that.
Yeah.
No, because I've heard that reference.
But that's the joke though, right? Like
No, I've heard that's a real reference because it is a little weird.
it's hella weird.
like you bench press and all that. Okay, and then they like have you strip down and just stand.
Yeah, they do.
That's a little weird.
Like the Tom Brady photo. Have you seen it?
No, but it's probably funny.
This picture. Yeah.
Why would they do? Come up to your dick and go ding-a-ling-a-ling-ling.
The dick as much.
flick it though. They don't.
They might grab your butt muscles.
Do they make you grab your balls and bend over and cough like the jails? Okay.
That's prison.
Yeah, I don't think they're worried about your coke addiction as long as you can throw a ball.
So for that context, he dropped a it's actually not a documentary, it's a fiction that is on Netflix. I think it's something about Colin black or white or something like that. It's more about him and his story in general, and it's directed by Ava DuVernay.
It's from Turlock. You know Turlock?
No.
Anyone know Turlock? Oh. It's like near like Modesto. You know Modesto?
Yes, I know.
Or Stockton?
Oh yeah.
That's where he's from.
Oh, okay.
He's from there. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So Ava DuVernay,
Farmtown.
amazing director. They put together this
Ava DuVernay, bro.
Ava DuVernay. There it is.
Jesus, fuck.
DuVernay. Thank you.
Uncultured swine.
Thank you, swine. I haven't been called that in a while. They put out this, I guess this film about him and just things in general that do involve obviously the social stigma and racism in the current world and stuff. But it's the first opening intro of the entire thing that is the most talked about thing. So what you're referencing is this moment where he first talks about how everybody wants to be, anybody wants to go into football, blah, blah, blah. Like, I loved the game when I was a kid and I wanted blah, 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 right? But everybody knows if you want to be in the NFL, if you want to go into be a real athlete, you got to go through the combine first. So then they show these very, very, they got all these black actors that come in and pretend to be, at the combine. They're being tested and different things like that. He's talking about how coaches come in and they want you to be an animal. They want you to be a savage. They want you to
What's his point though?
About this moment or about the whole thing?
Just about the combine and because all I've heard was just to tie in that with the slavery.
I don't know his point.
So what happens is
white guys and non-white and black guys in the NFL too.
I guess the reason why people are talking about it is just because of this first part though that everybody's freaking out about and remembering, because it's mainly just black people that come in and show that they're athletes or whatever, and it's all like white coaches and stuff like that are like testing.
The white athletes don't go through the combine?
He's not showing that in this opening part of the documentary.
Also, what it reminds people, just the imagery, is it looks like...
It's not a reminder, it's actual.
His like depiction.
Let me just finish the context and then you'll understand, motherfuckers, okay? So from there, all right, he's talking about what the combine is, how people get tested, and then the imagery goes from them walking off the screen, passing him, and then it goes into like back in the day slavery. So it's the same thing.
Good transition.
And then it transitions while he's still there giving kind of this like narrative or this monologue in the beginning. And then it shows imagery where like we were talking about how they're like stripped down and stuff like that. There's slaves being auctioned off, being kind of measured for like how useful they might be. Yeah. And then he brings in mirrored imagery or parallel imagery in the NFL Combine where they're also standing there getting their wingspan measured, they're jumping and stuff like that. And then he talks about how when you first get tested in the Combine and the way that they're talking about you and the way that they want you to do certain things, he says what's really happening there is the fact that there's kind of like they're teaching you or grooming you about the concept of like the power dynamic within there and who's in control. And that's kind of how he's pitching it. So that's the first opening scene, even though the entirety of
That's controversial as fuck.
Exactly.
I don't know. That take is a little bit, but that's been a long-term conversation, especially in the NBA, which is predominantly black. The NFL is still probably majority black, maybe not predominantly.
It is easily.
Yeah, and then don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure
We need more diversity. Let's get some Asian basketball players.
you got Jeremy, dude.
Yeah, dude.
But we need more tall Asians.
The other thing isn't always coaches, because especially the NFL and NBA, there are more black coaches, but they're the owners.
It's the owner.
I don't know if there's a majority owner in American sports that's black. I might be wrong. Don't quote me, but I don't think so. So that's
think-
the big argument.
yeah, I
because
think
we're
they're
talking
all
like
white.
billionaires versus billionaires versus whatever, right? And they're like, well, LeBron James makes $100 million. You're like, yeah, the dude who's in this argument is puppeteering him is worth billions of dollars. So where's that?
So are they trying to blame how the owners got there? Like, I guess I'm trying to figure out what the point is.
the power dynamic. The power dynamic.
Between a bunch of like
The
really
class and the
rich
power dynamic.
But
white
that's
dudes.
just how we arrived here. I mean, we get to control the future, right? So in the future, if now we have all these athletes, if they want to become the owners and like, I don't know, change the system, we can.
Well, I think that's why I think that's
billionaires don't want to own sports teams.
I think billionaire in general.
Jay-Z's, like a
think
lot of
Jay-Z-
musicians.
I don't know if he's a majority owner.
Oh, okay.
same with like Magic Johnson. He's not a
Yeah.
majority owner.
Do you know what a team costs?
A shit ton.
Oh yeah, multi-billion.
Billion easily.
Multi-billion. So Jay-Z's worth $1 billion. He can't be a majority owner of a
Yeah.
$3 billion team, right?
Yeah.
Even if he spent all his worth.
MJ could easily do it, but he owns the Tar Heels, right?
No, he owns Bobcats. Yeah, not even the Bobcats.
Oh yeah, Charlotte Hornets,
Yeah,
right?
he owns the Hornets, but not even the. I don't think he's
Not the
majority
full,
either.
right?
I don't think he's a majority.
Yeah, and that's
no.
Jordan.
Yeah, that's
But
crazy.
I
Yeah.
think
And no, Magic Johnson's also not a majority owner.
He's a
Not even
1%
close.
owner.
Yeah, he's
He's
tiny.
a 1%
Yeah,
owner
Shaq
of the
owned part of the
Lakers.
Kings, but it was probably like 0.5%. Well, there is an Indian
So
guy.
is it-
Indian
is
guy
it-
owns the Kings.
Oh, cool.
Is it like a race thing, or is it more like who can actually afford it is so upper echelon, like
I
rich
think-
motherfucker
I
that
don't think it's as objective as just like ownership in the space. I think it's talking about the power dynamic that involves like the
combine.
theme of racism in general. So, for example, this is also coming from a guy who pretty much quote unquote got blackballed by the entire league
Right.
for doing something, and so it's more about like the theme of suppression.
Is he trying to draw correlate? Because to me, the way I'm seeing it, it's like, maybe I don't understand, but it feels like he's just pulling parallels, but he's almost tying his own conclusions, and then also trying to imply something is fishy, but that I don't quite follow the
I don't
logic.
think fishy, but I think it's kind of like the like a quality of start. Like they obviously got a late start in American wealth and success.
Well, I think he is also trying to directly imply a particular thing, because remember, he was subdued in a sense, right? He specifically, for who he was and what he was quote unquote trying to kneel for, was like rejected from the entirety of like he got.
They didn't give him a chance with
Exactly.
You never heard the
You know what I'm
modern day
saying?
slavery argument? Like modern day slavery is often tied to that. Even music, I think, for a long time was tied to that too. Like, oh, all these, like more in the '90s, it's a little different now. But like, oh,
It's still
all-
tied to it,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
talk
all the
about
artists are
talking
black,
about
and then
this
like
year.
all the producers and people that own.
Yeah, our lawyer actually fought for a lot of fucked up contracts that, like, for example, Sly and the Family Stone, Master P, all these music artists who were exploited back in the days. Well, not Master P, but he's his lawyer. But like, yeah, in the 70s, 80s, and on, like, you know, they would take people from poor communities that were just like, I want a record deal, and then they would exploit them, right? So then he would go back and then get royalties, get money, and all that stuff. So like, it does happen, and that makes sense where people get exploited.
But the term slavery is pretty strong. Like, we've been on the receiving end of some pretty shitty contracts too, right? But we're still voluntarily signing to terms,
For sure.
right?
That's why it's called modern day slavery.
Yeah, but still, it's still strong to include that. It's like, say, modern day Holocaust. It's like, it's pretty strong.
But if he says like modern day kind of got the shit end, it doesn't have any punch. You're not making a documentary.
So what I'm saying is like that fishiness, does it feel like it's turning up the dials of fishiness, especially if you've benefited in the multi-millions? You know, taking the term slavery and then saying, but then also living in a mansion at the same time, You know, it's just, I don't know. It just feels.
I think you can make money off something and then complain about it still.
Yeah, because it's relative, right?
And you probably know more about it because you were in it than before you were in it. You know what I mean?
And I don't know if he used the actual term slavery. I think it was like artistic imagery and parallelism that like really kind of like.
Yeah, I don't agree or disagree. I'm just trying to explore the idea of what's going on.
To me, it seems like whistleblowing because without this, I wouldn't have known like how much teams cost and who's involved and all this stuff.
It's a pretty common topic, I think.
NFLPA versus the NFL is a constant thing. And
What's the NFLPA?
NFLPA is NFL Players Association.
NBA, yeah.
Constant battle between them and the NFL because the NFL wants more games, which means more injuries a lot of the time, which
Shorter careers, less money.
CTE, less money. Like
And that's in both NFL and NBA.
And NFL contracts aren't like MLB contracts where people are secure. Like if you get fucked up, you're done.
yeah, and they're
Everyone's getting fucked up in that.
well, they got quote better right because they just gave a little bit. Every time they give a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. But like, you know, the junior seiyas out there, like the guys who killed themselves with CTE, maybe
more of that too.
Right. So there's an argument to be made for like, you know, having more players' rights or more of a player's say against the owners who seem to dominate the conversation massively.
Yeah, better retirement programs because these guys.
Yeah, there's no
literally
retirement.
And again, coming from a dude like Kaepernick, he and his former teammate Eric Reed reached a settlement with the NFL for less than $10 million after alleging the team owners colluded to keep them out of the league as punishment for their protests. So it's like they're also experiencing a really, really unique power dynamic and struggle, like regardless of the analogy to the NFL Combine and like the idea of slavery and stuff. So I could only imagine the amplification of like what that feeling or that theme or that parallel can be like, especially after the fact, right? So I mean, it's arguable always because people do sign up to go to the NFL. Kids are usually wanting to just do this because they love the game.
They dream about it.
Yeah. Well, because they have such point of privilege as like football players or NBA players, like the narrative is always like, shut up and dribble, shut up and do whatever.
Yeah.
Shut up and throw a pick, Kaepernick. That's what I say.
Until it, like the narrative kind of benefits them a little bit, you know. So it is kind of interesting to see how people react.
I mean, like, well, something similar that I can see the parallel in is like Britney Spears, right? Where like, yeah, she's a celebrity, she's doing great, whatever. But if those allegations are true about how her dad is exploiting the fuck out of her and all this, it's still an unfair kind of quote unquote modern day slavery situation, right? Yeah. So like, it is good that they're shining a light on these kind of things, but then like, I don't know enough to actually like make a decision on this shit and see if it's bad or good
I
or
do.
what's happening.
He made money off of it. He should shut up.
But that's what people want to hear,
right? That's true. Were they telling Kobe shut up and dribble, or who was it?
They tell that to LeBron.
Like, don't have an opinion. Shut up and dribble. We just want to play. We want to watch you play the sports.
Unless the topic benefits the owners, and then they want them to speak up.
And to just give a little bit more onto the story of like why things like this actually do stir up stuff is because this former Fox News host Megyn Kelly, who was infamously declared Santa Claus white. I don't know. That's funny.
Yeah, what's that have to do with it?
I have no idea.
He is white, right? It's literally German.
And also, I guess
cares?
like making it a racial thing. The point is, she freaked out over the former NFL star and his comments on racism, and she says,
She Fox News, you said?
yeah, a former now.
She was also
Colin Kaepernick, he's insane. This is a racist guy. He really is a racist guy, and he hates our country. He hates America. It's just another day that
Sound like some Fox News journalist shit.
That's a hot take, bro.
It's just another day that Netflix gives this guy his own special, and I'm like, well, I guess it's going to be about how racist America is. Turns out it's how racist Colin Kaepernick is. So I mean, like,
Based. A little bit based, though.
She's out of touch with this lady, huh?
so I guess the point is it does stir up conversation, and it's not meant to necessarily have everybody be like, this is the decision, this is how things should be, but I think maybe they did a good job at least having people have a conversation.
Have they ever expressed what the ideal scenario is?
The Players Association? It's a constant battle because the NFL has so much power. Like, you're talking about billions and billions and billions of dollars. Yeah. And even Roger Goodell, he works for all the owners. He's there at the pleasure of the owners. So it's really centralized as fuck. Like, the players have a say now, but they didn't always have one.
Yeah. But it's barely anything.
But it's a negotiation. I don't even know if they have a say. It's negotiation.
Timor E. Smith, he's the head of the NFLPA. He constantly gets railroaded by the NFL, like, and especially when it comes to retirement benefits, all kinds of stuff. They do have some of that now, but it's not great. and players complain about it all the time, and they should.
They're getting the shit out of the stick at the end of the day.
For sure. Well, the average NFL career is 3 years max, right? And so you're talking about
With a lifetime of CTE.
And think about the guys that don't even make it to the NFL, like in pursuit.
the average age of an NFL player is like in the 50s, I think. Because you just get
It's a long time career.
No, when they die.
When they die,
Oh,
the
fuck.
life expectancy
Yeah.
Wow.
because of what they do to their bodies.
Some of them are big guys, and then CTE, and then
Crazy, man.
Isn't it like also the amount of athletes that get picked is really small compared to the other sports
Yes.
too?
I mean,
yeah.
yes, but this
Compared
is
to baseball, just also because baseball has farm teams.
just for more context too, because the NFL can be so lucrative, and it really is some people's only shot, or else they have to go work at a car dealership or something. There are guys who will stand outside of every stadium, like around the time that they're getting teams together and stuff, with signs saying like, "Hey, like I can play, I can throw, I can catch, I can do whatever," and they'll stand there all fucking day till they get a shot. So like, there's a lot.
tryout or something.
There's a lot of mixture here that's not necessarily involved in this conversation particularly. Like, there's a lot of people who want to be there, obviously, and then yeah, there's a lot of people who have been there who get the shit under the stick, like Kaepernick did.
I think that's the most common, right? They get the shit out of the stick.
I mean, you know, talk to Patrick Mahomes. I don't think he feels like he got the shit under the stick.